Hey everyone, I wanted to share kind of like a story, an origin story of a particular very short clip that I made back in 2018, 2019, something like that.
Whoa, are you smoking the pot in there, boy? I told you not to smoke the pot in there.
This was before I transitioned. Though I have been out as non-binary at this point, I was still kind of like seeing how I feel within my own skin, and I had not fully developed like an identity at this point. At least not one that I would roll with over time. Let's talk about the actual skit itself. So as you can see, I'm in the front seat, smoking a doobie. It's a pre-roll that I purchased at a local dispensary. That particular location was in Van Nuys, California, and all of that was shot in Van Nuys, California. It was actually really close to where I was living at the time. And I also shot this kind of like close to Halloween, so I was able to go out to a Spirit Halloween and to purchase a cop costume or police costume. I got to kind of play a little bit of a fantasy role, a little bit of a, comedic role that I never in real life will ever do because fuck the police, right? Like, we're in agreement here. All cops are bastards. But just for this one single moment in my lifetime, I decided to not play a cop, but to also run with playing a cop. The only victim would be myself. I would be the only victim here, to my own, cop role-playing shenanigans.
Now you're gonna turn gay. I told you what would happen if you turned gay.
Now, with this cop shenanigan bullshit, there came a story. The cop is walking through and he smells some dank and then he acts on it and he just goes completely off the fucking rails and the only response to give is laughter.
You're gonna become communist and then you're gonna become one of them pinkos. You're gonna flunk out of high school.
So there's a reason why I did each of these little things in the video. Firstly, the story itself was based on a specific anxiety that I had when I was smoking cannabis for the first time. Hotboxing in a car when you're getting pulled over by a cop. Now, this isn't specifically hotboxing in a car while you're driving, but specifically if you're hotboxing in a car when you're already parked, on the side of the street or in a parking lot or something like that. If a cop comes to you, especially when you're pulled over after he either suspects you're smoking weed or he smells the weed or whatever, it can be a fucking nightmare because then you have to speak a certain language to the police officer. For example, when I was 15 years old, I ran away from home and I didn't get very far. I went from Burbank to Pacoima and I got to Glen Oaks and Osborne Street before a cop pulled me over. And I said, dude, as in I addressed to him as dude. And he arrested me for doing that. Of course, he arrested me on the charge of being out past curfew at the age of 15. It was 3 in the morning. The point was that I called him dude, and that made him just about mad enough to arrest me. So when you're pulled over by a cop, especially when you're stoned, you have to play a specific role, right? You have to do certain things. You have to go by certain, social cues and roles. Otherwise, the cop's gonna lose his fucking cannon. There's a reason why there's 40% of cops are domestic abusers against their wives and children. Because they're irrational, wild animals. In these times when I was already pulled over and I was smoking weed, sometimes in my car all alone in the dead of the night and it's really cold and I'm just in constant fear of a cop coming around the corner and just pulling over and being like, hey, are you smoking weed in there?
Are you smoking a pot in there, boy?
That would mean I would have a citation, maybe a DUI, I don't fucking know. I don't want to find out, and thankfully I never did find out. I played the role of a cop as to what would happen in that situation, because as I was smoking in the car, sometimes in the driver's seat, you know, just to kind of cheer myself up and to kind of like bring myself out of that constant state of depressive anxiety when I'm trying to calm down from a long night of work in my overnight graveyard shift, I would just go like this. Are you smoking a part in there, boy? And you know what? That would just change my mood entirely. It would just, you know, make me start giggling. Like, the absurdity of that. Are you smoking the pot in there? Like, why the fuck is the cop trying to find people to arrest when they're just simply minding their own business smoking cannabis? Like, the cop has nothing better to do than to just, you know, fuck around with you. Now, there actually is a lot of privilege involved with this. I mean, first of all, playing the role of a cop in Van Nuys, California was kind of a risky move. It would have made people uneasy if there was a lot of people on that street that day. There was also just the fact that I'm white in a neighborhood with people of color, and cops and people of color don't usually get along very well for justifiable reasons. I had to be very careful when I did this because I didn't want to terrorize my neighborhood while I was doing this. It would have not been okay. Not to mention the fact that it never happened to me ever, even having done that skit, is a strong testament because there has been several close calls where cops drove by or cops may have almost seen me do it, smoking the cannabis, and they like just went on with their business. If I were a person of color, they would probably have not just minded their own business. They probably would have come over and antagonized me further.
You can't do that, sonny boy. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's bad for your soul.
Speaking on behalf of the creator of this specific skit, is it anti-police? Yes, it is an anti-police sentiment in every stretch of the word. And more importantly, I don't think that any institution, any family member or friend, for that matter, should tell you what to do with your life. That's your body. You make your choices with your life. People shouldn't be getting in the way of that.
I hate dogs. You're gonna, it's bad. Bad boy.
The fact that I used the word boy, which has racist implications as well, as I would learn later. I actually didn't know that the word boy had specific racial implications until I saw the movie Fritz the Cat.
Well, see, yes, indeed. See, my soul is tortured and tormented by this racial crisis.
No shit.
I kid you not, man. Sometimes I really get hung up about it. You know, uptight, strung out.
In a bag.
Yeah, in a bag.
I'm gonna buy you a drink, Cat, just cause I think you got coolness.
Oh, great. Hey, boy, can I have a drink?
Oh, man.
Holy shit. I don't know, it's really fucking gross to me now that I realize the errors of my ways. I just really like the skit. It's a very small part of my vulnerable anxiety, and that was what manifested itself from my vulnerable anxiety. He gets so into it, like, you're a commie, you're a pinko, you're gonna kill dogs. Oh my god, you know? Peace out. Until next time.